Hey y'all, it's your captain for all things creative coming at you with the Married at First Sight season finale review before the reunion. Now, if you are new to this channel, welcome. Please like, share, and subscribe. And if you're returning, thank you for rocking with us. We are tired of all of the cast except for Carla, Camille, and Thomas, and Alan because all of them acted a fool these last two episodes. So I am Carla, and Carla is me in terms of seeing who these people really are through my third eye. And we're gonna start off with I guess Madison and David and Alan, and then we'll talk a little bit about Carla, Juan, and Camilla and Thomas, and we're catching Emma because MM really disappointed me this finale like so badly. So let's get into Madison and David and their shenanigans. Now, I'm not even gonna go over everything because all of them made me upset. But basically, since the retreat, you have Madison and David still acting like they've never touched, they've never, you know, cheated on their people like they did, except for, texts and being at the gym. But there would have been no way that they would have deleted all those texts, and, they risked it all and were acting like this in the finale if it wasn't much more. This whole finale, they were being very gross, starting with that meetup that happened after decision day. Obviously for decision day, because of all the cheaterization, Alan decided to send Madison back to the streets where she belonged. And Madison lied and said she was going to work on herself, but instead she just went back to working David's pockets in his bed in his mama's basement or whatever. So you see them show up at this party that I believe Juan is hosting in his warehouse. And from the end of the last episode, Madison out of nowhere wants to get buck with Michelle. And again, I will never forgive this cast for the way they have me going up for Michelle. And in this episode, they even had me going up for Akechi. So this is all unforgivable. And basically, Madison acting like she want to fight Michelle for no reason. Like, she's acting like she's not 100% in the wrong, all in front of Alan. I guess I couldn't believe my eyes that she wouldn't act a little more humble and a little more nicely in front of Alan because she really hurt him and he was in it to win it. But no, this girl showed up dressed in all red with red eyeshadow, looking a fool and acting a fool. And to be honest, like, she thought she ate when they were walking by, I guess, some kind of boxing ring, and she was like, put me in the ring with Michelle, and she won't last 2 minutes. And it's all given. If you are happy with your decision, why are you trying to fight people? You, of all people, you're the one that has hurt Alan, and you kind of hurt Michelle. If anything, I feel like you hurt Michelle's pride because obviously you two aren't best friends. You just met during this process, but to be honest, Michelle did confide in you, so you were doing the most by, doing this couple swap before, the divorce time. Because honestly, y'all could have waited till decision day to start y'all little affair, but y'all didn't, disrespectfully. And Alan has every right to be upset, and Madison does not give one iota, I guess, about Alan. And you see later on when I guess there's a second meetup, Madison and Alan finally kind of have a little talk, and Alan basically reveals to her and all the cast that like he been getting it in. He been sowing his wild oats in the streets too, but he realized that he's not made for the streets, and he doesn't want to settle down. But Madison doesn't owe him anything because at the end of the day, like he said, Madison is on some transactional time, so she doesn't really, affect his life like that anymore now that he knows who she is, and he's not believing the illusions and the false hopes that she had been feeding him. So I'm glad Alan moved on. I definitely don't think that Alan was built for the streets. He was talking about he was using these dating apps and letting these people turn him out, and it really was not something he wants to maintain very longer. Obviously, he signed up for the show and he had a very good attitude about it, so I know he was ready to get married. So I wish Adam the best. I hope he finds love. Madison and David, they just look like they're in lust. They had a lot of scenes where it was really gross. They were just making all these innuendos about them doing all kinds of things that they were probably doing before. They finally had the date that David wanted of him covering up his tattoo of someone else's name on his chest. And I'm like, Madison, there's so many times where David has proved that he is toxic. One, cheating on Michelle. Two, having some other girl's name on his body for so long. And even the way he covered it up was haphazard. Like the tattoo looked really bad. It was literally like they tattooed a black scratch out of the person's name. Like it wasn't even done tastefully. Like I've seen cover up tattoos where you don't even know there was a tattoo underneath. Like they've made beautiful art, but this one is like literally an obvious cover up. It's like a tattoo of covering up a tattoo, which is so classless. But I guess it fits their personality. You also see, I guess, David threw a little party for Madison to celebrate her birthday. He got her like balloons in the hotel like a kid. David is very childish and childlike, and it comes across in all that he does. Um, he also got her a drink with the text message, "I can't wait to eat you up," which I thought was so tacky. Like, oh my gosh, all their scenes I really hated. So if they like whatever they got going on, I love it. But you could tell already that Madison is scared about karma because they do have some conversation about her asking David to just tell her if he starts to get a wandering eye. And how you get him, they say, is how you lose him. So it's obvious that they didn't have the right start, I guess, to their relationship. So I guess she's worried about it ending kind of the way she ended things with Alan, kind of being blindsided. And that karma is real. And I think it's going to haunt her how she treated Alan for sure. And it already clearly is, right? Now, quickly, my girl Carla, she was the MVP of all of this whole episode. Carla and Juan do not stay together for decision day, and that was obvious. But Camille and Thomas do stay together, which was also obvious to me. And I guess Camille finally busts out that lingerie that she'd been holding over Thomas's head all season. And also, Camille and Thomas, they move in together, which was nice. So all that is boring, but what really pops off, I guess, is Camille throws a birthday party for Thomas, and that's where everybody reunites again. And before this birthday party, Carla, she seems like she has the most genuine friendships with the most number of girls. Her and Michelle have a little girl date where they hang out and kind of talk smack about everybody else. And Carla also has a little session, I guess, at Emem's house with Emem and Camille. And Carla really shines in this scene with the other two ladies when Emem was talking about this boyfriend of hers that we'll talk about in a second, who's giving very much like homosexual, just kind of using Emem and love bombing her to get into her life and out of his sister's couch very fast. And Carla clocks it real quick because, during their girl date, Emem has the boy come over. And when he sits down and talks to the girls, Carla asks him, like, hey, why do you like Emem? Basically, he's like, yeah, she was like the light in my life. There's no other light. I was just in a dark place, in a dark tunnel, and now I found an MM. Everything's good. And he thought he ate that answer, and MM is senseless at this point. We'll talk more about her in a second. But when they leave, Carla rightfully clocks it. It's like, why does he have no light in his life besides MM? Does he, does he have kids? Does he have something to look forward to? So Carla's like, yeah, that's not great that he's saying that all his hopes and dreams is on MM is because he's a scammer. So let's get into MM and Akechi because all of this was very disturbing. We were rooting for you, girl. Why? Why you had to do this foolishness? Even your cousin Rafu, I don't remember his name. I think it's Rafu. He was tired from since when he met Akechi. Now you got him meeting this new man. I think his name is Brandon, looking like Donnell Jones' scamming cousin. I don't know, Brandon. I hope, all the best for and Brandon, but this relationship is not set up on the best foundations, right? So basically, let's get into this whole Brandon, and the catchy stuff that happened at the finale. So either had to have been messaging or talking to Brandon while she was with Akechi and when he was paying her dust, or she did what Akechi accused her of doing, which was finding any man, the first man, to sneeze her way, to plug into her life, to either rebound and make herself feel better, or to just directly make Akechi jealous as like direct payback. Because it ain't no way that she could get engaged this fast knowing that, one, she just got out of a very abusive, basically, relationship, and two, he is in the middle of divorce, so he's not even divorced yet. He has kids and he's living off of his sister's couch, so things aren't settled for either of them. It probably is a little bit more settled for Emma because she did the show for TV and Akechi has been paying her dust for so long into the process. So she's probably moved on. Like I said, I would believe this story more if they just fessed up and said, yeah, I've been talking to Brandon while Akechi was paying, her dust. But because she's acting like, they're just talking now after decision day and all this time, is giving she's trying to get her lick back and he's trying to get off his sister's couch by any means necessary. And when Rafu meets the man, he's like, yeah, it sounds like you're talking lines, but we know each other somewhat because apparently MM and the Brandon man had gone to school together in like 5th grade. So there is some history there and some level of her village knowing him and them being in the same village at one point, but they're adults now. And like I said, he's going through divorce. When asked why and how the relationship ended, he gave a very vague answer, talking about he was going down the proverbial street in the wrong direction for 10 years. He decided he don't want to go down that road no more. Yes, but what happened and what's going to happen to your kids? Like, it's still very messy. And then for to accept his proposal with no ring twice. Like the first time he proposed, it was weirdly at the same restaurant where he had just met MM's cousin. He didn't have a ring. Then the next time he proposed, they were looking at a ring and he didn't even buy it. And he proposed to her with it. It's just like, he's not putting real effort into this. Like, most proposals are like a surprise and the person actually purchases the ring before doing it. And it's all emotional. The proposal just looked off. It looked like stunts and shows. And I'm so sad that kind of gave Akechi a leg to stand on in terms of, yeah, she looked like she would have married anybody. But to be fair to that is the purpose of this show. They're looking for people who would marry anybody. So at the end of the day, while Akechi kind of has a point, he was still dead wrong for how he treated throughout the relationship. He was very dismissive, very intent on embarrassing her all along the way. At the party for Thomas and Camille, it was weird that Brandon showed up. Like, he was in a lot of scenes for somebody who's not scamming or trying to do stunts and shows. Why is he filming so much? It's not giving good vibes. Again, we don't know these people, but from what I'm seeing, Donnell Jones' cousin Brandon, he's looking like he's not really there for the right reasons. But at the end of the day, they have this party for Thomas, and is showing off Brandon to everybody. And then Brandon tries to introduce himself to Akechi, and Akechi's like, I do not care. And again, Akechi feels vindicated, I guess, by the fact that found a plug-and-play husband. And he claims that he has a date so he can't stay long. So I think both of them were there trying to show up each other, but kind of got the edge because she produced her date, whereas Akechi talked about a date. We don't know for sure if he had it or not, but um, Akechi did treat, I guess, Brandon and MM the right way by like ignoring them because they ended off so badly. Like MM literally like dissed him the last time she saw him, gave him like therapists to go to, and told him that, she's God's favorite and all these things. So it made sense that they wouldn't really talk and that Ketchy wouldn't really want to talk to her. But here MM go after, trying to shove Brandon in front of Akechi's face. She starts apologizing to him. And I was like, why are you apologizing, MM? Like, if he was abusive to you and he spoke so badly of you, you had every right to go off and pop off, tell him how you felt about it all, get it off your chest, let it out, be healed. So just the fact that she's like double backing and now acting like she has all this empathy for him, it came across as not genuine at all. And I think Akechi could see that. It did seem like she wanted to make a moment. She wanted by every means necessary to show him up. One, with Brandon, the Donald Jones lookalike, and then two, again, by showing that she's the bigger person than him because she could have a conversation. But at this point, there's no need to have a conversation. Y'all had plenty of conversations where he said he didn't want you. He said, I don't want you, I don't want you, I don't want you. How many times does he have to tell you he doesn't want you, MM? Like, it's embarrassing. As a woman, my pride was hurt because it's like she didn't have anybody loving her because she doesn't love herself enough to not embarrass herself like this. And that she's also accepting this other guy who hasn't proven anything to her. It's just very sad for MM. So I hope MM also sees some of them therapists that she recommended to Akechi, learn to love herself, especially before Brandon or anybody else does any harm to her, because at the end of the day, she was harmed in this process. Akechi definitely slandered her, was mean to her. I think she needs to heal from that, and this little revenge boyfriend thing that she's doing, it may feel good to her in the moment, but this man needs to be vetted a little bit. Like Rafu said, he got to prove himself a little bit more. He got to show that he's not going to bring more problems and complications to MM's life, because again, is he going to have to pay child support? Is he going to have this contentious relationship with the ex-wife? You don't know. So MM needed to slow her roll. Very disappointed in her. While I think Akechi did have a point, I still think Akechi was dead wrong for how he treated MM, but he wasn't all the way off in his assessment of MM's thirstiness. And for that, I'm upset with this show for even making me see Akechi's side a little bit. The reunion is next week. I believe it's 2 parts. I'm gonna try to maybe have one of my people from the lean maybe come on with me to talk about the reunion. We shall see. If not, it'll be just me, because I'm definitely gonna talk about it. And I hope to hear what you all think, regardless of how the reunion show gets done. Make sure you say how you feel about all the cast in the comments. Who do you want to see at the reunion? What do you want to see get revealed or go off? I think David and Madsen got explaining to do about their timeline. Now that they're all out in the open and Madsen was trying to fight people, they owe people the truth a little bit. Especially if she's so big and bad to fight. Be big and bad and stand on what you was doing and just say what you did and win, so that Alan at least can not feel like he was led astray, because David has been constantly lying. It's Madison's turn to maybe tell the truth. So I don't expect the truth from David, but I hope maybe at least Madison womans up, especially since she was acting big, bad, and brave in front of Michelle. But until the reunion, remember, you're the master of your fate and the captain of your soul. And we'll talk more next week. Bye.